Tonight it's a tale of two very different Portugals. The Algarve, the tourist playground of southern Portugal. It's where the sporty Copocs love to live the life of Riley on their annual holiday.
Our holidays are about relaxing, chilling out, dining out and drinking.
The desolate Napoleonic battlefields of northern Portugal. A place of pilgrimage for the White family, all of them keen historical reenactors.
We very much live, eat, breathe and sleep the Georgian times.
Both families are up for a challenge.
I was horrified by some of the things that I saw.
Why did you do that? Joe, stop it!
I actually do think that they think that they are best brothers.
They've never met.
Supposed to be a fun team game.
But both are convinced they can show the other family a fantastic time on their holiday.
I think this has been the most exciting day of my life.
Two different families.
It's almost as if she delights in dumbing down.
You brought your children up the way you have, and to be honest, I think they scared you.
Two very different holidays.
Still owes me for that pot, for the bottle.
The lads were literally fighting over who was going to drink out of bottles of wine.
Do you think I found that acceptable?
There can never be a circumstance where it can ever be acceptable.
Holiday Showdown.
Whoa, hey!
Liverpool is the home of the sports-mad Copoc family. Civil servant Mo, unemployed former soldier Alan, 15-year-old Paul, 12-year-old Joe and 10-year-old Tom. Their perfect holiday is to go to the seaside resort of Quavero on Portugal's Algarve for beach and bar-based self-indulgence.
There's that restaurant we went to the very first day we got there, where we had the chicken piri-piri.
Money is tight in the Copoc household, and a holiday is about escaping the problems of everyday life for a week of fun.
The things that make a perfect holiday are relaxing, eating, drinking. Yeah, when I got that drunk, I fell asleep. They wrapped me up in a West Ham flag, and then they all left me and went for a meal.
Yeah. Portugal is the place where it is to, like, we can do something new every day, but we won't get tired of doing it again and again.
In the market town of Sutton Coldfield live historical recreationists, the Whites. Deputy head teacher Denise, police chief John, 19-year-old John James and 13-year-old Elizabeth.
We call what we do living history. We go for detail, we like the detail, it's the detail that makes it interesting, we strive to get it right. And the idea of dining in those days is that everything had to be balanced.
You might say policeman John has a thing about uniforms. Over 10 years he's collected over 30 19th century costumes.
This is the tunic of a grenadier, which is the 3rd Battalion, the 1st Foot Guards.
Oh, look.
White family holidays are about learning, and their ideal trip is a sightseeing tour of Napoleonic battlefields.
Our holiday is to go to the area just north of Lisbon, where there are a number of locations connected with what is collectively known as the Peninsular War. That was the war that was fought by the British and our allies against Napoleonic France.
There are various museums to visit as well in relation to the period.
If I sort these jackets out, can you...
And they'll be taking some of their collection with them, because they believe learning can be fun.
We hope that our enthusiasm will be infectious. So we hope that they will see it as a positive experience and not, as a lot of people do when you talk about history, is instantly turn off.
Battles on the football pitch are more the Copoc's cup of tea, whether they're playing themselves or watching their beloved Liverpool.
Joe, he's the angel who turns into a devil. Because when he's good, he's very, very good, and when he's bad, he's wicked. Tom, he's a baby, so everyone thinks he's spoilt.
As a sportsman, Paul isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. When he's not playing football, he likes to box, either at his local club or at home with his brothers.
We're competitive, so we like a competition, don't we, boys?
Don't do that.
John and Denise take pride in their well-behaved children.
I think we're quite strict parents. I think that we We do have our values and standards.
Elizabeth believes her future lies on the stage.
I'd like to be an actress when I grow up. It's something that I've always been interested in, and I think I kind of have the right personality to do it.
John James shares Dad's passion for the military.
I would definitely bring back national service. Oh, they've still got it in Germany and various countries around the world, and it works.
In the Kopok family, rivalry is the name of the game, particularly between Paul and Joe.
I'm telling you to keep your leg away from me.
Like that. I'm not going like that. I'm just like that.
Well, Jim, put it on him. How heated the discussions get? They don't get heated so much as violent.
I don't like noisy, bangy, destructive children.
No.
And often children are like that because the parents allow them to be.
Stepdad Alan keeps his head down, cleaning and cooking for everyone else.
Looking after the three kids can be a bit of a handful, especially when they're boisterous and playing up.
What kind of family do you think we'll end up with?
Teetotalers.
Do you mean teetotalers?
Yeah, because you know, like you're drinking mad, and we're gonna go.
The Whites plan their holidays with military precision.
We are active people, and I always adopt the view that time spent in bed is time wasted. So you get up, you have breakfast, and you have a full day. So we don't miss anything, because what's the point you go somewhere if you miss things?
I hope they don't do museum tours. Nothing against museum tours, but I wouldn't like to go there every day.
All that museums is boring to everyone.
I'd have a sleep in a corner.
I'd probably start falling asleep, yeah.
If I was bored.
Oh, these would probably start messing around if they were bored.
Don't butt in.
I'm sorry.
The Kopoks are taking the Whites on their holiday first, and as they arrive at the airport, they send them a text telling them where they're going.
Message sent.
Somebody, hello the White family. Come and join us for sun, sand and slammers in the Algarve. Don't forget. Oh my God.
Football boots.
Love the Kopoks. I think it'll be a bit of a shock to the other family to realise that they're actually going to Portugal for a holiday as well.
On the sunny south coast of Portugal, the Algarve's resorts, beaches and sea caves attract over 800,000 British visitors a year. The families are staying at Colina Village Apartments in Quavero, where a villa for a week costs £935. The Kopoks are sharing a small 3-bedroom apartment with the White family, and they're waiting to greet them.
What's doing that?
Possibly babies, kids like that, and go.
No, go away. Oh yeah, that was loud enough, wasn't it?
The bailiffs.
Hello.
Hello. Hiya, nice to meet you. This is Alan.
This is John and this is John.
Oh, hi, John. Hello.
The accommodation is tight.
What we're doing is we've just put the bed down to show you that there's a double bed there, or you can use it as a single. Good thing about this place is there's 3 bathrooms.
Alright.
Which we're not used to. We only have one at home. And you can imagine it's always full. Unfortunately, we've already bagged it downstairs.
Alright.
So do you like the apartment?
Yeah,
Nice, isn't it? I was expecting someone who didn't like Scousers, to be honest. I was thinking, oh God, they're going to be...
That'd be awesome.
Oh well.
The Whites will be sharing 1 bedroom and a put-me-up in the lounge. So far, they're not complaining.
I didn't really know what to expect. Mo is obviously the live wire in the family, and I liked her style. I like the way that she was upfront about things, and I think we'll get on, yeah.
I think she's going to be a strong character. I just hope we don't come head to head or anything like that.
Coming up, Mo gets the party started.
I think the Whites have got an issue with our amount of drinking.
Still angry for that pot.
But as the bottles stack up, John calls time.
I was horrified by some of the things that I saw.
The Kopoks, who love the resorts of the Algarve, are playing host to the history-loving Whites in a tiny apartment in the town of Quavero. It's 10 AM and some of the Kopoks are still in bed. The Whites are frustrated by the delay, and although it's not their holiday, they're already trying to take control. 19-year-old John James goes downstairs to play Sergeant Major.
Paul, everyone's upstairs waiting to do the announcement of what we're doing today, so we're waiting for you now, alright? So if you could get up and... otherwise we're never going to get there wherever we go. Cheers, thank you. Good, good.
Once they are up, the Kopoks want to see just how competitive the whites can be. Exchanging their normal footy boots for swimming trunks, they start the day with a game of water polo.
It'll be on the Kopoks onto the whites, but Joe's going to be on their side to even it up. Tom, what are you up?
For Mo, the game is harmless, boisterous fun, and she's happy with the way her kids are playing. But Denise has a different view and doesn't like the effect the game is having on her 19-year-old son, John James.
I'm thinking that my son is too competitive for his own good. It's supposed to be a fun team game. You've got younger members of the team who would quite like to take part in it.
John James accepts his mother's telling off.
I think my competitive streak came out a bit because I do get a bit competitive when it comes to team sports. It turned into a bit of a mess at the end with people running around the pool and throwing and it lost all sense of order.
I thought we were quite competitive, but I didn't think we were as competitive as they are. There are a lot of things that make me think, oh, they're very similar to us, and then they say things and I think, maybe not.
After the game, the Kopoks take the whites to a beauty spot to show them the Algarve coast, world famous for its 140 miles of award-winning beaches and crumbling sandstone cliffs.
You seen that little bit just there, how clear it is?
Yeah, crystal.
That's very pleasant.
Gorgeous, isn't it? And you can go down these steps.
Paul sets off down the 200-foot cliff.
Tom, don't follow me.
Don't follow him, get that way.
I wouldn't want to fall off here, Mum.
The tide is coming in, and as the children head unsupervised for the beach, the whites are surprised as Alan and Mo leave them to look for a cafe.
Another coffee?
Yeah, because I wanted one as well.
Am I having one?
Yeah.
Good.
Never off duty, the whites stay watching on the edge of the cliff.
I've seen too many tragedies in my time, and I couldn't rest if I knew my kids were down on that beach and they were that age. That's all I can say.
Well, there's too many dangers, isn't there? John! Don't leave Joe on his own, stay down with them. Thanks.
John James and the kids return to the top, leaving Paul by himself on the beach.
Right, I'll be going to get a drink. I think.
Taking control for the second time today, John James alerts Mo and Alan to the situation.
Is Paul there on his own now, is he? Best not be down there on his own. No, I'm not saying anything about Paul, but I wouldn't want to be down there on my own just in case anything happens. So.
Yeah, and Paul being Paul.
There he is.
You got him?
There we go.
Oh, got bored. Bit of a dad. Feeling, yeah. In loco parentis for a few minutes there.
John James is worrying about me. At least someone's worried. You know, just sitting there having a cup of tea.
I didn't go down the steps because I wouldn't have been able to get back up there again. Too tiring for me.
Some people probably say we're paranoid. We're not paranoid. We're very, very caring.
For the whites' relationship with the Kopoks, the tide is beginning to turn.
We have clear differences. It's not a class difference because I'm a working class bloke. I come from a working class background. It's norms and values. It's your outlook on things, and and sometimes it's the way that you conduct yourself in public.
As dusk falls, the food-loving Kopoks assure the whites will enjoy a traditional Portuguese evening, full of locals from the surrounding villages. Lobster, an Algarve seafood speciality, is dish of the night. And as the wine flows, the Kopoks start to really come out of their shells.
Now that's enough. Put that back on the plate and leave it. Put it back on the plate. not a bloody toy. Put it down.
Dinner was interesting, with lobsters being ripped apart and bits shoved up people's noses and waved around. It was quite annoying to see. Trying to enjoy very, very good food, and to have that kind of circus display in front of you.
A few glasses of wine later, the Coppocs attempt to lighten the mood.
Between courses it was quite slow, so we decided to have a game of Chinese whispers, and my eyes are still watering from that. How can cows sound like elephants? Oh God, I'm going to die.
The Whites are not amused.
The conversation that the Coppocs have is very limited. I didn't want to play Chinese whispers around the table because, well, you know, for obvious reasons, it's not appropriate, and it's a party game for kids.
It's not just the Coppocs' table behaviour that's annoying the Whites. The whole experience of living with them in the tiny apartment is getting John down.
We do literally live in each other's pockets, and it's really a process of camping within solid walls. Where you tend to eat things straight from the fridge and things are straight out of the packets. It's not how you normally live, but it's a holiday. And you have to be prepared to sort of give and take and experience the whole experience. But sometimes it's difficult.
The Coppocs sleep in all morning, and at midday everyone meets at a cafe. Mo needs an alcoholic hair of the dog, and 12-year-old Joe thinks he does as well.
Would you like a sangria? Yeah. Half and jug. You better cut it out now. Sit down, stop moaning. What you do, fall back and smack your hair. But then again, carry on. Joe, for some reason, thinks he's an adult, and he wanted some sangria. But when it came and I tasted it, it was far too alcoholic. So he really, really, wasn't pleased about it. Hey!
The problem is that Mo and Alan haven't really got any conviction. They don't. When they say something, the kids know that they don't mean it.
Mo's concerns about alcohol and her children are short-lived, as the families go shopping together after lunch.
Anyone ready for a drink here?
It sort of turned into a shopping expedition looking for small bottles of alcohol.
Vino, rosé, we're going to buy for our own kids at home, well, our Rebecca and Al's kids. Port. Where's JJ? Port. You can just like put a bottle in your pocket and have a little swig.
Even 12-year-old Joe and 15-year-old Paul are stocking up. It's something policeman John would never allow his children to do.
So you want the little Matthews, don't you?
There's a big Bailey's there, if I have a look.
There seems to be a real fixation with drinking alcohol, which I find hard to come to terms with, particularly with my background and the fact that I'm a father with kids as well.
I'll do, mate. $2.80 for a bottle of rosé. Although, do you think one's enough for me? That's for me to drink. And those little bottles are for presents, but I don't even know for. I just like the bottles they were in.
So we might just keep them.
You're gonna think I'm an alky. I am.
Back at the apartment, it's not long before the boys are rowing over the wine. 15-year-old Paul sold a bottle to 12-year-old Joe, but after a dispute over the money, he's taken it back and drunk the whole bottle himself.
He said buy it off me for two I don't know, not £2. He went, well, £2 on a game of pool.
Hold on then.
So I had a misunderstanding.
Alright, so it was a misunderstanding, right?
The three lads, who range, I think, from 11 to 15 or something like that, seem to jockey for position to see who can get and drink the most booze.
He still owes me for that bottle, for the bottle that he bought, and then he just drank that one.
The thing was, you bought it for a present.
I didn't.
Oh, John,
You're not saying that.
Don't speak to me like that, I'm telling you. What the hell is...
The Whites don't react, but their feelings are running high.
It's actually ranged, well, I sort of experienced sort of mixed emotions of amusement to abject horror.
Trying to keep the holiday afloat, the Copocs take the Whites on the galleon Santa Bernarda for a tour of the Algarve coast and its world-famous sea caves. But the two families' relationship is heading for the rocks.
I didn't realise that the Whites would enjoy it as much until we got to know them and thought, oh yeah, they're going to love it. With it being a pirate ship and they're sort of into pirates for some reason.
Oh yes, shiver me timbers.
So far into the voyage, the only person not feeling shipshape is seasick Joe.
You're normally okay, but you're going to be pale. You take your sick bag.
The caves are formed of layers of sand and fossilised sea creatures. To Mo, it's just a pretty place to visit.
I just like the beauty of them, and
you know, you see the same cave.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But to the Whites, it's a learning opportunity, and they have the perfect remedy for Joe's seasickness, a geology lesson.
See, up there? Yeah. All the shells, they're all dead sea creatures that have sunk to the bottom of the sea, and all the layers of sand have built up, and the lines you can see are all the different layers of sand, and it's millions and millions of years.
To be sure, it's our holiday we're on and not theirs.
Denise isn't impressed with Mo's attitude.
What I thought was awful was when I said, because he was feeling sick, I tried to take his mind off the sickness by getting him to give back what he'd learned. I said, I'll tell you, Mum, and she listened for about 30 seconds and then turned away, you know. I think part of the reason that he's naughty is because he doesn't get the right sort of attention.
He was teaching me, like, kind of rocks and, like, how cliffs are formed and, like, how caves are formed.
Boring stuff.
Do you know too much about... Too much, really? Because every time I'm sitting there, you go, oh, look at the fossils in the rock. I mean, they were interesting at first, but after getting told about them for about an hour, it sort of bored me.
With seagulls circling for the barbecue's leftover sardines, the Whites are treated to some more Copoc-style after-dinner entertainment.
Boys were slapping each other over their heads with the sardines, meaning fish blood and guts was going everywhere. And then they decided it would be such a fun idea to rip them open and spread fish guts over each other. Kind of freaked me out a bit because it's a bit nasty.
It's the final morning in the Algarve, and in a few minutes the Copocs will learn what the Whites have in store for them. As they pack, the Whites draw up a list of rules and regulations they will expect them to keep to on their leg of the holiday.
When we have our meeting, and if you like, assume control of the holiday, we will announce a series of rules that we hope will actually put the holiday back on track in terms of organisation and direction.
I think it might be something historical, actually. But I don't know what. What, if it's not going around looking at ruins all day? To look at myself in the mirror of a morning.
We're going up the road to a place called Mafra, which is north of Lisbon.
I said north.
It is the location of the early battles of the Peninsular War, and we're going to be visiting battlefields and historic sites.
Oh, he said. And when you got home, you said, oh, we didn't want to go around visiting old ruins.
There'll be much more structure in our approach.
The basic rules are that each day there'll be an itinerary of where we're going to go and what we're going to do. Timekeeping is absolutely paramount. Alcohol cannot be drunk in the accommodation.
Boys, you listening? Okay.
It must be appropriately controlled, particularly in relation to the children.
I think the whites have got a bit of an issue with our drinking habits for some reason. I think they seem to think we drink too much. I don't know why that is. We're totally in control, you know. With our, I mean, we're only having a couple of bottles of wine a night.
Coming up,
it's all been embroidered into the materials.
Mo's at breaking point.
I'm riveted, that's what the word is, riveted.
It's almost as if she delights in dumbing down.
And Paul finally cracks. The military-mad White family is now firmly in control of the holiday. The beaches of the Algarve are a distant memory as they drive the Copox to northern Portugal for a tour of Napoleonic battlefields. These empty fields don't get many visitors today, but 200 years ago thousands of soldiers under Napoleon and the Duke of Wellington poured in to fight a bloody war. At Mafra Palace, a former army barracks, John's history lesson begins.
Quite old. It's built in what they call the Baroque style, which is a period in architecture and art and music that I find particularly interesting.
And how long do you think the plan on spending?
I think we'll probably spend a couple of hours here, I should think.
So the tour begins, and John is eager for the Copox to benefit from his many years of historical research.
It's interesting to remember that thousands of soldiers lived here and they'd have used this as a barracks. Alan, you used to be a soldier. Could you imagine what it'd be like if soldiers were living in here? The picture here is a representation of the Battle of Salamanca. Now, the Battle of Salamanca occurred in 1812, and it was one of the high points of the war that we're looking at, because that war ran from 1808 to 1814.
John was a teacher. Well, just as well, he's not the teacher really, isn't it? Just as well Denise is the teacher.
But this is interesting. This is a shaving stand. So the king would have stood here.
I think this has been the most exciting day of my life.
He's taking the mic.
I am taking the
It is interesting.
John's so full of facts, it's nearly 10 p.m. by the time they get to the nearby villa the Whites have booked for their stay.
Denise and I are going to see what the accommodation's like, sort the rooms out as we said this morning, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. All right? Okay.
After feeling cooped up in the Copox Algarve apartment, John and Denise have no shame in going in first to make sure the villa's owner Colin gives them the best rooms.
So I'm seeing this already.
I'm seeing that, yeah.
I'm seeing this already, yeah.
Okay, it's got the door to the balcony again.
Okay, well, the people we've got in mind for this would have no issues with that at all.
Okay.
Because they'd be our kids.
Alan and Mo and Juan in the three room. The two boys in the double room.
Yeah.
Yes, the twin.
Elizabeth in the middle room.
John James. Or whatever.
Or whatever.
Yes, that's how
John
I see
in
it.
here, us in there.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
That outwardly may appear greedy, in that we've taken the best of the room allocation. But I don't necessarily see it that way. Are you happy with that?
Fine, that's okay.
We had no choice over our room allocation at the last place. And in reality, at the last place, although the cleaner village is very nice, I can best equate our sleeping arrangements to being in Rorke's Drift.
I think maybe they felt they got a raw deal in Kalina Village, so it was payback time.
At 0600 hours the next morning, the Whites call their first breakfast meeting to announce the day's manoeuvres.
This morning we'll be travelling north from here to a town called Torres Vedras, for the lines of Torres Vedras. And what the lines are 152 forts and fortifications that stretch from the Atlantic coast in the west to the River Tagus in the east.
With so much history to pack in, the tour starts early. First stop is the town museum, and John is in his element.
I'm sure the lads would appreciate looking at this. And what you have here is a representation of what a small skirmish or a small battle would have been like. I think this is a very important place and a good place to start a tour of the lines of Torres Vedras. You know, you're at the very seat of where all this history belongs. And there's something down there that Alan will find interesting. You see there, there's the little wagon.
Oh, yeah.
I find out things that I never knew. I can't say I'm bothered, like...
I've got a feeling we're going to be doing different tours all holiday.
That's the first line. I think they're signalling posts, I'm not sure.
And there are swords on the walls and the guns. Real artefacts, real history, which they can see, and in some instances they can actually touch.
And in the room next door, that's exactly what the boys are doing.
If you're interested in something, you should look at it, but if you're not interested in something, then you shouldn't just go messing about.
I actually do think that they think that they are better than us.
Having drunk deep from the well of knowledge, for the Kopocks, lunch is a well-earned break.
Now you've experienced some of the stuff that we do, what do you think about it as a way of spending your holiday?
As a way of spending my holiday. Well, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't spend my whole holiday going around forts and ruins and stuff. History
is a theme that runs through everything we do.
History sort of drives most things.
History, it impacts on everything we do, you see.
Which is why our conversation was fairly limited at the beginning of the week.
But there's one topic Mo has no problem holding forth on.
Right, listen to what I'm saying. I ordered separately 2 fries.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not my fault you put it on my plate. So what I'm going to do now is give you some of them.
If you listen to me carefully, I weren't going anything on about chips. I was saying, God, this is a big baguette.
The Kopocks need a hearty lunch, as the Whites have planned an afternoon speed march around the forts that make up the lines of Torres Vedras.
Now why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Where we're standing now, there'd have been a large cannon, a big gun on wheels. Do you like that, Joe?
Joe, stop it! What's your left?
This is brilliant, isn't it?
The Whites are sure their enthusiasm for the history is really starting to rub off on the Kopocks.
Coming out here today, being able to walk around a fort and see it as it was then, relatively untouched, I think it is sparking an interest, and they are actually starting to listen.
The lads are really interested. They really were engaged, and perhaps when they get home to Liverpool, they might think about going and looking at things, and I'm sure they'll all be the better for it.
I know it's important and all that, but if it was so important, we'd be getting taught about it in school.
After a 5-hour bus ride over 200 miles, John reveals the tour's grand finale. A commemorative column on top of a hill.
That way towards the Atlantic, it's 29 miles away, there's all those fortifications in the third line. It's a fitting end, really, to what we've done.
I think when you've seen one fortification, you know, you've seen them all. They're basically the same.
It's a nice monument.
John with his timetables and, you know, his regime. It's all too regimented for me. I felt like not a moment to relax, really, which is obviously their type of holiday. I think I'm going to be totally worn out, and by the time I get home I'll feel like another holiday.
It's dawning on the Whites the Kopocks aren't being seduced by the joys of learning, but they're not giving up.
Early days, and
got lots to go yet, lots more history.
They'll, hopefully by the end of the week they'll come around to our way of thinking and see why it's important and what is so interesting about it.
Next day, the families go to the Portuguese capital of Lisbon, but they're not on the normal tourist trail. The Whites have a real treat in store for the Kopocks, a 3-hour visit to the National Military Museum.
Going to another museum now.
But this time the Kopocks are going to fight back.
Good afternoon, General. Good afternoon.
Frustrated by his inability to bring the history alive for the Kopocks, John has arranged for one of Portugal's top military men to help him with his tour.
I wondered if between us we could go around the museum and look at your collection and particularly have a look at the items to do with the Napoleonic Wars. They would charge with the swords held out like this.
But the general is soon consigned to the ranks as once again John takes the lead.
This one here, this big straight one, is what is called a heavy cavalry sword. This one here...
Mo's in no mood to look interested.
This is what they call a flintlock musket.
I'm riveted, that's what the word is, riveted.
And the Whites don't like the example she's setting for her kids.
the Schwartz Cross, she said something to the effect of, try and make it look as if we're interested. Which I was quite offended at, because that's not entering into the spirit of it at all.
I don't think I'll take any more rooms. I want to go back to the villa.
She gives out negative signs, and I think the kids pick up on that.
I think she does that for effect as well. I think she means to do it.
It's very difficult not to be judgmental, but it's almost as if she delights in dumbing down. What they used to use...
The Whites target the children, but it only brings out the boys' sibling rivalry, as Paul reckons John White is favouring Joe and ignoring him.
Come right here, Joe. Can you guess who that person is there? See the statue in the case? Can you guess who it is? Any idea who it is?
It's Napoleon.
Hey lads, Joe. That's absolutely right, Napoleon. Now he's the person that caused all the trouble, because it was his army that invaded Portugal in 1807 and started the war.
Then he asked him again, he went, what is it, mate, Joe? It's Napoleon. He went, that's absolutely right, Joe. I'm a off because I'm standing here and everywhere I turn around you see John, like there's on my brother's shoulder going, you know, Joe going, what's this, you know.
You could be a teacher, so I enjoyed him showing me around and what things were and that.
It's like sort of offending me, you know, because it's as if either they think that I'm stupid or they just play in ignorance and just don't want to ask me and just, you know, having favouritism and licking Joe's whatever.
In the World War I room, Paul recognises something he's learned about at school and sees a chance to play John at his own game.
You know, that was the first, you know, that's what they dipped in a piss.
How do you know that?
So did they all know all that?
Oh, look at that, yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Well, that, what would you think it would be used for?
It's the first ever gas mask they dipped it in urine to...
Say again, sorry?
It's a gas mask.
It's a gas mask, that's right,
dip it in urine.
Is that what they did?
Yeah,
Good
that
heavens.
was the first ever one.
No, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Which was funny, because I knew... Yeah, I knew something I didn't.
Who?
John.
Paul's that picture.
God, what does it? What I thought he knew everything.
This is what I call a blunderbuss.
And finally, after 3 hours of John's history teaching, Paul's patience snaps.
I'm going to walk out this place, I swear to God.
Go on then.
Go on.
Come on. Paul.
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 Joe might be.
Right, come here, Joe. See this sword?
Coming up, John unveils his secret army.
Oh, you
And the two families go to war.
The lads were literally fighting over who was going to drink their bottles of wine.
Do you think I found that acceptable?
There can never be a circumstance where it can ever be acceptable.
The Whites have just 1 day left to convince the Coppocks that educational holidays can be fun. So far defeated at every turn, John White is about to unleash a secret weapon at Rollisa, scene of a wartime tragedy.
There were French all around here firing down into the gully, but because these men were at the forefront, they took all the firepower. Over 250 actually died on the ground, so you can just imagine the bloodbath that occurred in the area where we're standing now.
But sadly for John, Paul's more interested in making love, not war.
ruining history.
Excuse me, Paul.
The battle with the Coppocks seems to be lost, but for John the war is far from over as he unleashes his secret weapon.
What can you hear?
Drums.
Oh, yeah. Is that my imagination or just like people coming towards you?
What do you think it is, lads?
It's a ghost, isn't it? They're all
Yeah, it's a ghost of the soldiers.
They're coming back because we're robbing his grave or something, I don't know.
Class for that.
Has anybody here recognised?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks
Who do you
like...
recognise?
Let's try and make him laugh.
I always get emotional.
I wouldn't have thought I would, because I wouldn't have thought I was that type of... Yeah, that's quite emotional.
You hold your Baker rifle. I think you're a bag lady. I think you're from the baggage train, and because you were in the Royal Corps of Transport. You're in the Royal Wagon Train, because that's what you're in when you're really in the army.
Bang!
It's an emotional moment. Even the Coppocks are touched.
It was quite moving actually when their experience when they came over the hill. After listening to John's story, and we heard the drums, and then we seen all the soldiers coming over. It was quite moving, wasn't it? And I feel a pillock dressed in this, like.
Yeah, me too.
John got a bit emotional, and it's just showing his respect. So I've realised how much they actually do respect all this stuff.
After 5 long days of struggle, the Whites have finally won the Coppocks round.
I can actually say that was really, really good. So that was good drumming.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Well, it makes me really happy to know that you've enjoyed it.
It's the end of the holiday, and while yesterday was a success, much remains unresolved. In a nearby hotel, the scene is set for a final confrontation between the two families as they come together to discuss their issues.
Yesterday was fabulous, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up when JJ and the soldiers came over the hill. Although I didn't realise it was him until I sort of took a photograph, because I was so sort of like stunned. That was amazing, and the kids getting dressed up, not our things that we got dressed up in, they looked pretty awful. But I thought they looked really great, and I really, really enjoyed that.
The biggest thing what annoyed me was the timetable. Everything was precise, everything was worked out, calculated.
Structured.
Structured. And I even said to them, I said, I feel like I'm back in the army again.
In that respect, we're never going to have common ground.
I think the Coppock kids did enjoy going around that museum. In the first room that we went in, yourself, Mo, you said, try and look as if you're interested.
That was me showing respect. You see, even if the kids weren't interested, I wanted them to listen to what they were being told, because...
But I think that was I think that was an interpretation issue. It was a failing on your part. It was plain to me that you didn't have the same interest in what we were talking about. Yeah, and that did show through.
Education, to me and my children, is very, very important. I felt I was being judged to be a bad mother, or a mother who my children have got no respect for whatsoever.
John wants to bring up the rows over alcohol in the Algarve.
It can never be right that kids of their age are jockeying for position for alcohol to the point where they even steal it off each other. I mean, they shouldn't have it in the first instance, but it is perhaps a case as a parent you do need to take a firm control. You know,
Probably that, but it was bought as a present. I didn't know you'd have to, you know, open the bottles.
You asked the children to buy alcohol to take as presents for somebody else.
Yeah, when adults are home.
But I wouldn't even ask my children to buy alcohol for anybody.
They asked me.
But
Joe said, can I actually get that?
But as an adult, I would say that is inappropriate.
The lads were literally fighting over who was going to drink out of bottles of wine. And I was shocked.
Do you think I found that acceptable?
What I am saying is, from my point of view, there can never be a circumstance where it can ever be acceptable.
Because we've been brought up with, obviously, a family that drink a lot, my mum and Alan, mostly, and they'll come in like off their heads, like shouting at each other, shouting at us for not doing something, and then it'll just get worse and worse.
Have you found that we're more happy when we've had a few drinks?
Yeah, but it causes arguments between the two of you. You go out after work, Alan will get upset, and he'll go like, oh, I'm fed up, and then he'll go out and we'll be on our own.
Like sometimes when you come in dead late and you haven't been happy, like I want to like get to bed now or something.
I am responsible, but Alcohol to me is an outlet. I can forget about all the problems at home, which I know that's not the answer. The answer is for us all to sort it out as a family.
It's actually caused us pain to see pain, you know, in the family.
Like, can I ask you truthfully, are you actually going to try to change your behaviour? Tell me the truth.
Alright, and we will promise to try as hard as we can to behave on one condition. You do the same to us. You promise to try and listen to us more. Let us finish what we want to say to you. Like, look at the good points on us as well as the bad, and help us with the bad and praise us for the good.
I think what I've learned by seeing how your family lives, I've realised how lucky I am.
You were very judgmental. You've got no idea of how we live.
Perhaps compared to what other families have to put up with, I am lucky.
Obviously you've done great as parents because, you know, your children are so well behaved. But at the same time, have they had a childhood? You brought your children up the way you have, and to be honest, I think they scared you. I really think they are.